We look at cyber resiliency strategy as a three-legged stool. One is risk mitigation, and we'll talk about each of these real quickly. The second is governance and policies, and the third is in the actual technical resiliency. And they're all critical in order for you to have a full planned cyber playbook. The risk mitigation really starts with understanding your organization structure, both internally with your security tools, externally with your third-party vendors, what type of insurance you already have in place, what types of policies you have in place, what types of risks you can afford. It eventually comes down to putting your risks into three categories: what needs to be remediated, what needs to be accepted, and what needs to be insured. And there are tools out there that we partner with that allow you to understand that. And that's your core foundation. This is work that typically happens not just in IT, but it happens with your financial office, it happens with your businesses, it happens with your regulatory groups. And through some basic assessments, you can have an understanding of where you are in your organization structure. What does a long-term outage cost you? Where are your points of weaknesses? Where are your point of strengths? And what it does is gives you a longitudinal output of where you stand today, and you can put plans together on where you need to improve, and then you can measure this on a quarterly or yearly basis and see where you stand. I suggest that has to be a part of everybody's resiliency plan. The problem is, again, this is where you get outside of IT and into the business, and you've got to pull them in the governance and make sure that this happens. It's very, very important. The second piece is, once you understand your risk mitigation and your acceptance and your insurance, what are your internal governance and policies? You need to have a disaster recovery standard operating procedure. And this standard operating procedure is not necessarily a technical operating procedure. It's how the business will operate in business continuity or within a disaster event. And each of those policies then need to equate to the technology that needs to help support that. So that brings you then to the third leg, which is your technical resiliency. Once you have those in place and you create your policies and your priorities for your applications, then you look at your infrastructure, you look at your data center strategies, you look at your public versus private hybrid scenarios, and you can put the technical documentation in place that allows for those recoveries to happen. So if you look at your disaster recovery standard operating procedure policy, it's not a technical document, it's an operational document.